Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. So last video in the project and we're going to be making the loops. So there's a few ways you can go about this. The first thing is you need a decent piece of fabric in size because you're going to cut off a strip. Now I decided to use for my size bag a strip that was 2.5. Okay, and then I've stitched it together to create the actual strip with a 1/4 inch seam. So I've come straight down the sides. I've left the one side open, this end, so that I can turn them inside out to make the actual a tunnel. But then I started thinking about it and going, well, do I want to do that? I was watching Stuart's video again around the area at the end where he's making his loops. And he had an interesting little way of doing it instead of overthinking it. Once he got his strip, now my strip, its finished length, better tell you that, is 23 inches. So 2.5 by 23 is the actual piece. Now remembering it's folded in half and now stitched along the outer edge. So technically I could turn this the right way out and I would have a encased raw edges inside. Now if you decide to do the straps which run around the bag itself, I'm going to use this cordage. You make it the same way. Sizing wise depends on your loops. So do your loops first and then have a look at how much space you have in your tunnel. That'll make sense in a minute. Now Stuart turns this inside out so it's nice and neat, but his bag is also very neat. My bag's very messy. So just as I was about to turn it, I'm thinking, no, hang on a minute. I want those edges, I think. So, but I did like how Stuart gets his little tubes. Look, I've got a blue thread in there. Can you believe it? I can believe it. Can I get it out? Oh, I'll do the next step because that'll make it a bit easier. So Stuart's about to cut his strip into 8. I only want 4. Stuart's doing 2 tunnels, 2 loops on each side. I think I only need the one, but let's see. So he folds it in half, he folds it in half again, and then snips it. Now his piece is longer, so he then goes again, and he gets lots of pieces that he can make into loops. I'm going to do it just enough to get 4. How easy is that? So everything now is separated. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. How easy is that? Done. Now I can get this blue thread out before I go any further. Now because you would have turned it inside out, your raw seams would be on the inside. Now I'm not going to do that because my bag is real raggy looking. I'm thinking I'm going to leave these sides out. I might overstitch it. Do I want to do that? So I can now fold that and slide it into our gap that we left. And there's my loop ready to go. That's it. And then I'm just going to put a pin in it. So find the middle. I'm just doing it by eye. And there is your loop. Now you can decide at this stage whether you're going to put a cordage through it, a ribbon, or make a strap. Same principle, using this method. You've now got a length that can go around it. As for how long, just sort of run your tape measure roughly around the top to get that measurement and then allow for a little bit to hang. And you need to make 2 straps. So if you're stitching your fabrics together and turning it so it's nice and neat, you'd need to cut 4 pieces, 2 pieces of fabric for each strap. And what they do is you slide your straps in, coming out here, and then on the opposite side you do it again, so you have these 2 straps hanging at the bottom. So when you grab them, it cinches the bag in. Does that make sense? Of course it makes sense. Utterly logical. I'm liking that. I'm just going to pin them on. I don't know, I just want to fiddle around a little bit before I make the final decision. So I've got, how much is sticking out? Where's my ruler? About 2.5 centimeters, which is your inch. So I've got about an inch of fabric sticking up in the air. You could make them as tall as you like. There's an inch. It's purely decorative for me because I'm not using it as a bag. This side, I'm going to put 2 in. Just going to make Now I decided to use a fairly plain fabric because, I don't know, I just didn't want to use another colour up there. I thought it might take away from the sides of the bag. Let's put 2 in. So I'm going to shunt it right into the corner. Let's have a look at that. I think they would need to be narrow if I did 2. I'll show you what I mean. So there's 2 different heights. Didn't do that real well. There's 2. See, I think in this scenario they would probably need to be about that width would look better. And then, oh, I don't mind that. So what width is that little guy now? About 1.5 inches. So your finished loop, your sideways measurement, would need to be 1.5 inches if you're going to do 2 loops for your runner to go through. Oh, they look a bit puny. I think I prefer the 1 loop, to be honest. 2 loops would hold the cordage better, but wouldn't it? Let's have a little play with the cordage. Decisions. So open up our loop. Let's cheat. Let's cheat. Why are we struggling when we still have the ability to lay it through like that? Think with your head, girl. Okay. So let's put that over there. Coming around. Depending on the size of your bag, depends on how many loops. So a really big bag, you might have up to 6 loops on a side. Just really depends. Okay. And the cordage sits through there like that. Yeah. I think 1 loop will be fine. I'll just have the cordage hang, you know, gently there. It's decorative at the end of the day. Then the second cord comes through and it will also hang in there as well. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. All right, decisions made. Let's get rid of that out of there. Now, the next thing, so I only need 4 for my bag. So depending on your size, if you've made a bigger one, you may be able to fit the 2. Have a look at your little straps and decide, do they need to be wider, narrower? I guess my next decision is, am I going to decorate them? Do I need to decorate them? I don't think I do. Do I? Oh, gosh. No, I'm not going to. Am I? Gosh, guys, once you start stitching, you can't help yourself, can you? No, I'm not going to, because I'm just thinking through the practicalities of it. If I've stitched this with little morsels of fabric, yes, it'll look gorgeous, but if I ever use it as a bag, or you guys are planning to use it as a bag, when you squinch it in, you pull it all in tight, your stitching is going to be absolutely squished up. And I don't think that's good for the integrity of the stitching. What I will say, but I've got machine stitching there that's visible. What I might do is just humour me. Let's get some needle and thread happening here, just in the cream, so we're not doing anything new to the project, like another colour. And I'm just going to run a running stitch up that seam and see what it looks like. It'll disguise that there is a seam there because the colours match beautifully. Now, you might decide that to do this right at the very beginning and you haven't got that sewing machine thread being utilised to hold it together. So the benefits of watching me nut all this out, I'm going to do a decorative stitch. Yeah, I like that. Now here we go. This is where it gets out of hand. I could do that whole tab in, oh, wouldn't that be nice? I could do the whole tab in Boro stitch. See, this is where it just gets out of hand. It's just ridiculous. Oh boy, oh boy. It's like you're getting close to the end of the project, and if you've loved it, you don't want it to finish, so you start creating more work for yourself. Do you guys do that? It would seem I do. Now I'm just going to knot that off. And I'm going to go to the other side of that little strap and do it again up this seam. At that point, we're going to decide whether we keep going or we just stop. Oh, I need to just get this one done to get the general. That would be nice to have a stitched strap. That'd be a very pretty detail. They're nice and strong because they have that side seam stitched in a sewing machine. So I don't know, guys. I would probably say still do the sewing machine stitch to create the big long strap. Cut it down to size, as many as you need. And then do some top stitching or some decorative stitching on them. Like, I'm just thinking that because they'll be drawn closed, having that as your only method of closing it, this top stitch might be not enough. It might sort of look like it's coming apart. Okay, let's have a little look. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Now, the question is, can you see that? The question is, do we carry on and do more stitching? I think so. I might work out the middle, then put one either side of it. Let's draw them in. So my gap now between them is not quite 4 centimetres, so I'll just position my ruler so that it's close-ish. Find 2 centimetres. Doesn't have to be exact, like. I'm really overthinking it now. That's more the line there. It's got a bit skew with. I'll just do it by eye now. I'm being silly. I'm being more precise than I've ever been, and we're not going to start that rot. We're going to stop. Putting more effort into the lumen straps or the loops. You could do this with the strap. You could do some decorative stitching along your strap. I do want to show you a method. I think it's in one of the videos that I saw for making your strap if it's narrow. Here, look. See, I've got my lines drawn, so I can whiz along there with my needle and thread. That shouldn't take too long. Then I might stop the video, get the rest of them done, and then come back. But I just want to show you the turning your fabric inside out routine is painful, and you often have to use a knitting needle to get it through. It's doable, but it's not one of the easiest things to do. So one of them in the video, I can't remember who now, showed a method that I thought, oh, there you go. Well, that makes the strap easily done. You then run it through your sewing machine and it's nice and secure, but you could also run a running stitch along it as well. So if you didn't have a sewing machine, you can certainly make your strap in one easy movement. I'll just stitch this. It's really easy because there's no layers after what we've just been through with all of those layers. This is an absolute pleasure. I like this idea with my loops too, because it's going to make it a bit frayed and messy like the actual bag, where if I had to turn that seam in, that nearly would have looked too perfect. And I like the width of it. I would have lost a little bit of thickness to my strap. I probably would have considered two. I've got to stop saying strap. Loop. It's the loop. See, this is why I don't do official tutorials. This is why you just jump on with me and watch me muddle my way through these projects. But in the process, you'll get 20 different suggestions as I try and work out what I'm actually going to do. So that's sort of what you get out of my channel, I think. You watch me muck around. And you guys will come up with different things as well. I wish we could all talk, because I'm sure there'd be someone at the table go, oh, girls, what if we do this? That's how it usually goes, isn't it, when you're all in a group? Okay. Someone described me as a companion stitcher, and I thought, oh, that's me, a companion stitcher. If you want a tutorial on a rice bag, you watch Stuart Hilliard creates, and you'll get a 15-minute brief, very informative, exactly what to do, no mucking around, detailed lesson. You watch me, it'll be 11 episodes long as we bumble our way through, yibby yabber and chat, sip on coffees type of lesson. So it's like I'm a companion stitcher. We do achieve things ever so slowly sometimes. We do get it while you guys are sitting there doing your project, and you don't even need to be doing this project. We're sort of just hanging out. So I just love it. I didn't know how my channel would proceed when I started. I just thought I'm just going to do me. I'm going to just show you what I'm doing, and if you're doing something, pull up a chair. There we go. Have I got enough thread to get to the last bit? Of course I do. Alrighty. Now I might just turn on the iron, give it a little iron. That'll help the threads to be seated as well. Okay. I didn't knot that. I need to knot it properly. Just got to come back and knot that one. Now, if you don't have a lot of fabric to donate to the loops, this is quite generous, my length. That 23 inches. So you could probably lose an inch per loop if you had to. Just do some measurements. I guess, oh, come on, just thread. It's got furry. Don't give me grief at this stage. Must have picked up a different needle. I don't recall struggling like this. Okay. Let's iron that. So if you need to be really accurate on your little straps, you could get your ruler and say, okay, allow about an inch to tuck inside, an inch to come up, and then double it. So a 4-inch strap, a 4-inch piece of fabric would make a great loop. Now these are 5.5, nearly 5 3/4. So you could certainly save some fabric by popping it back to 2 inches. But again, it depends on the size of the bag you decided to make. So you're going to have to just have a little play. So that's going to go in there in the middle. I'm going to have about an inch sticking out. I think proportionately to that side, I think that's pretty good. Might even be more than an inch. Yeah, a little bit over, just a fraction over. I'm probably overthinking it now. And then it's just a case of making sure you're in the middle, adding a pin, and then with your needle and thread, you can stitch your side together. Now, where's my needle and thread gone? And it's the same as your side seams, so really, really easy. Just get your knot buried in amongst all that wadding and work your way. Now just be mindful that you are going to see the inside edge of your bag, so you'd probably want to use a matching thread and then just some little itty bitty stitches, but you can sort of sneak through all that wadding to sort of move yourself along. That's it. And as I get closer to Actually, you know what? I'm going to stop because I'm not liking how that edge is fraying on me. I know I like the frayed look, but I feel I'm going to just back it up a bit. Stop, stop, stop. See this calico canvas edge? It's really fraying. So I'm going to take the time to actually overstitch this edge. I think it'll be worth it. My hands are going to be coming in and out at there. I probably could have done this before I got to this stage, but it doesn't matter. It's easy enough to do. I can get a little stitch right around the top edge of that easily. So there you go. You may not need to do it because you're turning your bag inside out. So if you follow some of those YouTube videos, you will be not doing this anyway. I like the ratty little straggly edge, but I do like a little bit of control. So I'm just going to take my time and do a little bit of an overstitch right around that edge. Then I can insert my loop, then I can stitch that side together, holding the loop in place. So I think you got enough there to proceed yourselves, or at least consider for your project. Yeah, see, that's easy enough to come along there with just a little overcast stitch. It still has that nice soft raggy edge, but at least I know that as my hand goes in and out of that bag, ratting around for a morsel of lace, I may even just put all my Japanese fabric scraps in there. Wouldn't that be nice? So yeah, it's just, I might do that. I might keep my Japanese morsels in there. It'll hold quite a lot. Gosh, you could have one for every colour of your scraps, couldn't you? If you want blue, bring your blue bag down. If you want red, bring your red bag down. Gosh, you'd be forever making these bags. Just want to tidy up some of those little ratty little bits that have popped up. Yeah, see, that took no time at all. And I know that that raw edge is now secure. There we go. Okay. That's secure. That's secure. It's worth it. It really is. That won't take long to do. So I won't bore you with that. What else can I want to show you another little technique to make the strap if you're not using cordage like I am. So let's just get this little guy pinned back into position. And I can stitch that off camera. You guys don't need to see it. Could probably even run a little stitch along this edge. Is the strap going to make that fray? Whoops, the little knot. It's another thing to consider. Maybe we need to run a little overcast stitch on this edge. I think I will, guys, because it is a pressure point, being that my raw edges are exposed, where if you've turned this inside out, they're tucked inside. It's not going to fray. But I think, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to run a little overcast stitch while I'm doing it anyway, aren't I? Along that edge. Don't lose the thread out of the eye of the needle. There you go. I've just created more work for myself. Isn't that just typical? We are in uncharted territory. We've got to figure all this out. Yeah, I like this idea. That way, if I do draw it closed, it's not going to just destroy that delicate fabric. feel like I've got a little bit more strength there in my loop. Yeah. So my homework will be to put some top stitch across all of them, whip down the side with some whip stitch to make them look, to stop all that fraying, whip stitch around the top edge of my little bag before I even think about putting these loops into position. And then once they're in position, I can stitch those side seams along like we did these sides, stitch all that, catching the loop as I go. That's pretty straightforward. Have we considered everything? I think so. I think we're nearly there, guys. As for the length of cordage, as I said, run your tape measure. If you're going to make your own strap or cord, run your tape measure around the perimeter of the little bag, and then just allow excess to either tie a bow or knot it off with a bead, whatever you want to do. That shouldn't be too hard to work out. It'll be just a case of 4 sides, 3, 4, and then you'd want some dingle dangling to happen. So another 2, and then a bit extra for good luck. So that's what I'd probably cut off to work out, you know, your straps. Now, if you're going to make a strap out of fabric, I just want to show you something I spotted on one of those videos, and I thought, ooh, how smart. I just need a piece of fabric that holds itself integrity-wise. This might do. Okay. So let's imagine that this is a strap of fabric that is cut to the size you want. So it might be 2.5 inches. Now what one of them did, I think it's the lady, is she got her iron, which is not giving me enough space, and she ironed over the raw edge like that. She did the other side like that. So now she's got raw sides in. Let me zoom in a little bit so you can see, because we're dealing with cream fabric here. Then she got this end and she ironed that. Watch your fingers. Now you could finger press this, but use an iron, make it easy on yourself. So drag it out. Try and keep your corners nice and straight up here. All right. Then she did it again down here. Can you see where I'm heading with this? Like so. And then ironed it. And then she folded it onto itself with all sides tucked in like that, and then ironed it. And then she jumped on her sewing machine and stitched along that edge, securing it all, and that created her strap. Now you could take it one step further and stitch along this edge as well. You could even stitch along there to make it look like it's completed. You could just do there, and then even come back and do what I'm doing here with some top stitch, some borrow stitch along there. That would be beautiful. And then that strap would go through your loop like so, and into your bag. Now remember, you need to run 2 straps through. So that to me is too big. I would make this strap half that size. So let's just muck around here a little and fold that in half. So let's assume your strap's that. See, I don't even mind that too, instead of the cordage. Oh my goodness. So if that was finished, that width, That just gives a completely different effect. See that there? Like that would be your cord. And you could easily get your second one through as well. So it really just depends on what you decide to do with your piece. It's great, isn't it? I do like that, don't I? Oh, goodness me. Look, first things first, I'm going to get all of these stitched. I'm going to do all of that first. Get my loops on. I know I like them the way they are. I know I like the size. So I'm going to stop the video at this point and complete this task, and I will be back. And in that time, I'm going to have a think about the cordage versus the strap, and we'll see where we go from there. All right, guys. Bye for now. See you in a moment. Hi, guys. I'm back. So I'm just stitching the last loop into position. So I whipped around the top edge of my lining just to make sure it was stitched and wouldn't, you know, fall apart on me. I just now coming down the last little bit of space. I think we've got about 20 minutes left, so I thought I'll turn on the camera as we come to the conclusion. We will cut the cordage. I decided I would stick with the cordage because my bag, and this is why I changed my mind, because my bag looks very chunky. The cordage just added to the chunkiness of it. So I decided, the strap is what I'm trying to say, added to the chunkiness of it. So I decided to stick with the cord because I sort of felt it complemented the design better. But if you've made a bag and your seams are internal, you might find that the the strap concept will work. So it's going to be a personal decision you can make, but obviously there's lots of different ways you can approach this project, as you can see. And I'm sure now that we're at the final video for the series, you've probably had YouTube throw up all sorts of suggestions to you. While I was sitting here stitching this last step, I decided to film the introduction video, which you've already watched. If you follow me regularly, you would have seen that video pop up a week and a half ago. Well, even more, a couple of weeks ago, just saying, hey guys, I'm going away. Here's a project for you to play with while I'm gone. And YouTube is still suggesting other Japanese-inspired stitching projects. So, yeah, it's very interesting. I know they troll us a bit and they watch what we're doing and that, but in this scenario, I was like, yeah, it was definitely a rabbit hole that they encouraged me to fall down. Okay, so we have got our little bag all completed. So I'm just now going to use this cordage to work out what I need to put in. So I need a bit hanging excess. Actually, I don't need to cut it, do I? I got a crochet hook. I was thinking about before when I tried to show you it coming through, I thought, oh, look at that, I'm struggling to get it in. So then I thought, oh, I'll just grab a crochet hook. You could probably even just get a piece of wire and bend a little hook in it. So this is just, you know, just another little problem-solving thing we have to come across when we do these projects, especially when we go off on tangents. So there we go. We now have our cord coming through. Now, if you had what do you call it, numerous tabs on here, 2 per side, your cord could be in the middle. I've only got 1 per side, so my cord's going to be on a corner. So just something else that you will notice. Now I'm just going to cut that with a bit of length. Is that enough to tie a nice little sloppy bow? Yeah. Can still get my hands in there. Yep. And then I'll just put a knot. You could put a bead on the end. I'll just put a knot there and rough up that little bit of cord. Okay, so now I went in there. I'm going to put my knot in again and go from the opposite side. So I'm starting over here now where I started over there. Let me go up a little bit so you can see a little bit better. There you go. Camera's a little bit close. This cordage too, that's cack-handed, isn't it? Because I'm going in the opposite direction. This cordage, what's I going to say, is helping the loop stay in the air a little. Oh, why is this a struggle? There we go. So if you're thinking your loops are floppy, don't worry, because your strap or your cord is going to hold them in place. And at the end of the day, for me, it's just decoration. It's not really going to be used as a bag. Well, you never know. I guess if I go somewhere and I want to do a Japanese project, because I'm going to keep all my little snippets of Japanese fabrics in here, I'll have it. There we go. We're at the other corner now. There we go. So I have jiggled that around a little bit. So just need to rejiggle, making sure it looks aesthetically pleasing. There we go. Now, let's get over here. Have I got enough length? Probably do with a little bit more fed through. So that's this guy, that guy, that guy. There we go. And probably a fraction more. Don't be stingy, girl. So actually, I think I mentioned I found this at my local hardware store of all places. Typical Bunnings, they want to be in the middle of everything. They're even selling pet stuff now. Like, come on. There's pet shops out there already. Do we really need Bunnings, a hardware store? Getting in amongst the pet industry? There we go. There we go. So I'll just have a fiddle with the little cords. Make sure they're in the right position. There's the bag. Done. I love it. And then, of course, if I go somewhere, you grab your straps and you draw. Oh, I've got a bow. Hang on. You wouldn't need a bow then if you're going to use it like a proper rice bag. You draw the strap in and you've just sealed your little bag with your project. So there you go. That is, I even like it just loose. Yeah, I probably like it loose instead of with the bow. I could fiddle all day. I might shorten them to the height of the bag. Here we go. I'm fiddling again. They're not going to go anywhere. Will I? No, I'll leave it. I won't do a bow. Maybe I could just do a loose knot instead of a bow. Yeah, I like that. That's better. Not everything needs a bow. Just have it a little loose down the side. Plenty of room for your hand to go in. They're not going to, yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's not a bow project. Maybe if you were working with florals and laces and things like that, a bow would probably complement the side of your bag. but that's great. And if I do want to drawstring it, it will still work. I can open it all up, and my little collection of Japanese fabrics is going inside. We won't put that denim in. That's not really in keeping, is it? Oh, we'll tuck it in. What the hang? It did come in handy because there might be a spot where I want to just to fill an area, but it not be. No, it's got to go. It's not part of the category of Japanese fabrics, is it? Put that little piece in there. Those little snippets. I'll keep the white out because I'm not convinced that they're Japanese. I think they're just a lovely selection of little white snippety bits. So I'll put them in somewhere else, I think. What other snippet bits are hanging around? There's a bit of white. These are bigger pieces. They will stay together in a bigger container. Yep. That can stay there. I will put my stencils back into my little box. See, now I'm tidying up. Geez, it feels good to be finished a project. Put that in there. Have to have a think about what else I can do now. There we go. All my bits. I'll keep I might put those white bits in there. That'll remind me where I got them from. I know they're there. So that's my project box of Japan being closed up for another rainy day. I've got spare pieces and spare linings. There's the other one. So they will all, gosh, what a mess. 2 spare linings. Lots of the panels ready to go for future projects. So that will go in another box, so I know where it is. Needles packed away. Denim will go with the denims. And there is my completed little snippet box inspired by a Japanese rice bag. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love how it's got a few different uses. Yeah, very cool. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been an absolute blast. What's that piece of fabric? Chuck it in there. It's been an absolute blast doing this project. I hope you've all enjoyed it and you're all coming to the end of the series with a useful little project. All right, guys, look after yourselves and I will see you all in the next video. Bye for now.